This video is the continuation of part 2 video. Now we will discuss holidays and the leave basis. What is the meaning of holidays and the leave basis, and what will be the treatment of holidays and leave basis? One alternative to account for wages which is paid on the account of paid holidays and leave can be include them as departmental overhead. Is that there is a one alternative to account for the basis which is paid on the account of holidays or the leave, and it can be included them as a departmental overhead. In such a case, it is necessary to record such wages separately. In this case, it is necessary to record such wages separately from worked for wages. Such a segregation can be made possible by providing a separate column in the payroll for the holidays and for the leave wages in the same way as there are the column for DNS allowance, provident fund, etc. Is that such segregation can be made possible by providing a separate column for providing a same column or as a separate column, same as column for DNS allowance or provident fund. If, however, a separate or additional column cannot be provided, if due to any condition a separate column or a additional column cannot be provided for this purpose, then it is necessary to analyze the payroll periodically to ascertain how much of the total payment pertain to the worked for the wages and how much it is related to the leave and holiday wages. This is a one alternative. There is a one alternative to calculate the amount of leave, to calculate the amount of paid holidays and the leave, and it is shown in the separate column. And if it is not possible to show it in a additional or a separate column, then to analyze the payroll periodically to ascertain how much of the total paid as wages waged for workers for wages and how much is related to the leave or holidays wages. And there is another way that could be inflect the wages rate for costing purpose to include holidays and leave wages. This can be done only in the case of direct worker. Is that this alternative can be used only in the case of direct workers. It cannot be used in the case of indirect workers. Now we will discuss it by the way of example. Calculate the employee hours rate of the workers X from the following data. Is that on the basis of following data, calculate the amount of employee hours rate. Basic pay is 10,000 per month. The amount of basic is 10,000 per month and the amount of DA is 3,000 rupees per month. And fringe benefit is 1,000 rupees per month. Number of working day in a year is 300. Number of working days in a year is 300. 20 days are availed of as holiday on full pay in a year. 20 days are availed of as holidays on the full pay in a year. Assume a day of 8 hours. Assume the employee worked 8 hours in a day. Then on the basis of these details, calculate the employee hours rate of the worker X. Then the effective working hour in a year is 300 less leave days on full wages is 20. Then the effective working days is equal to 280 days. Then the total effective hours is equal to 280 days into 8 hours per day. Then 2,240 hours. Then total wages which is paid to the employee in the year is, basic salary is 1,20,000, DNS allowance is 36,000, and the fringe benefit is 12,000. Then total amount of wages which is paid in a year is 1,68,000. The total amount of wages which is paid to the employee is 1,68,000. Then on the basis of this we can calculate hours rate. Then it is 1,68,000 divided by effective working hours, 2,240. Then hourly rate is 75 rupees per hour. The rate is 75 rupees per hour of Mr. X. Then on the basis of this we can calculate the, or we can understand how to calculate hours rate and how to calculate wages and what things are to be included at the time of calculation of working hours or at the time of calculation of wages. Now we will discuss night shift allowance. What is the meaning of night shift allowances and what will be the treatment of night shift allowance in the case of costing or in for the purpose of cost. In some cases, workers get extra premium. In some cases, workers get extra payment if they work at night. Since the extra payment is not for any particular job, therefore, such a payment and it should be treated as overhead. In some cases, the employee gets some extra payment if they worked in night. Since the such extra payment is not for a particular job, then it is normal a payment and it should be treated as overhead. Observation rate of employee cost. How to observe or how to apportion the employee cost. Employee cost, as stated above, include monetary compensation and it is also include non-monetary benefits to the employee. The employee cost includes monetary compensation and it is also include non-monetary benefits. Monetary benefits include, now monetary benefit include basic wages, DNS allowance, overtime payment, incentives, and or production bonus contribution, production bonus, contribution to ESI, contribution to PF, house rent allowance, holidays, and vacation pay, etc. And the non-monetary benefits include, and the non-monetary benefits include medical facilities, service standardized canteen service, sub subsidized canteen services, subsidized housing, and education and training facilities. These all are the non-monetary benefits, but these all are included for the calculation of employee cost. For direct workers, the ideal method for the direct workers, the ideal method is to charge jobs or unit production by supplying per hour rate calculated as follows. Is that for the direct workers, the supply per hour rate is to be calculated by this formula. Rate per hour is equal to total estimated rate per hour is equal to total estimated monetary benefits and the cost of non-monetary benefit. Total estimated monetary benefits and the cost of non-monetary benefits divided by budgeted direct employee hours less normal idle time. Is that for the direct worker, the ideal method is to charge job or unit which is produced by them by applying per hour rate which is calculated as follows. Rate per hour is equal to total estimated total estimated monetary benefits and cost of non-monetary benefits divided by budgeted direct employee hours less normal idle time. Another alternative method is to treat the monetary benefits other than wages or DNS allowance as well as cost of non-monetary benefit as overhead. There is another method. According to this method, the non-monetary benefits other than the monetary benefits other than wages and DA will also be considered as cost will be considered as overhead. Is that monetary benefits other than basic salary or basic wages and DNS allowance or other monetary benefits are to be considered as overhead. Now we discuss the efficiency rating procedure. Now we will discuss efficiency rating procedure. Efficiency is usually related with the performance and may be computed by comparing the time taken with the standard time which is allotted to perform the given job. The efficiency is related to the performance and it is computed on the basis of comparing the time with the standard time which is allotted for the performance of this job. Is that there is any work which is done by a worker in 10 hours and the standard time which is allotted is that the efficiency is usually related with the performance and it may be computed by comparing the time taken with the standard time. We is that for the example there is a worker who perform a service or who perform a job within 10 hours but the standard time which is allotted to perform such a job is 12 hours. Then that he performed such a job before 2 hours. Then on the basis of this we can say that the such person or such worker perform work very efficiently or before the standard time. If the time which is taken by the worker on the job equal to or less than the standard time, then he is rated efficient. Is that if the time which is taken by the worker on the job is equal or less than the standard time, then it is considered that such worker is a efficient. Efficiency in percentage, how we will calculate the efficiency in percentage, then the formula is efficiency in percentage is equal to time which is allowed as per standard time which is allowed as per standard divided by time taken into 100. Efficiency in a percentage is equal to time which is allowed as per standard divided by time taken into 100. On the basis of this formula, we can calculate the efficiency in percentage. For efficiency rating of the employees, the following procedure may be followed. For determining the efficiency rating of the employee, there are some procedures which are to be followed. Procedure number 1 is determining standard time and the performance standard. For efficiency rating, first, we will determine standard time or performance standard. The first step is to determine the standard time which is taken by the worker for performing the particular job or particular task. The standard time can be measured by using time and motion study or work study techniques. The time is to be determined on the basis of techniques or on the basis of study. While determining the standard time for a particular job or for a particular task, a heterogeneous group of worker is taken and contingency allow are added for determining the Standard time is that when the entity determining the standard time for a particular job, then a heto- heterogeneous group of the worker is to be taken, and the contingency which is allowance and the contingency allowance are required to be added for determining the standard time. Number two, measuring actual performance of worker for calculation the efficiency or for calculating the efficiency rating. The second procedure is mes- second procedure is measuring the actual performance of worker. For computing the efficiency rating, it is necessary to develop a procedure for recording the actual performance of the worker. The system which is developed should record the output of each worker along with the time which is taken by him. Is that for computing the efficiency rating, it is necessary to develop a procedure for recording the actual performance of the worker, because on the basis of such a record or on the basis of such procedure, we can measure the actual performance of the worker, and then after compute the efficiency rating. The efficiency rating of the each worker can be computed by using the above formula. Is that on the basis of above formula we can compute the efficiency rating. Employee productivity. What is the meaning of employee productivity and how we will calculate employee productivity? Productivity is generally determined by input-output ratio. The productivity is normally determined on the basis of input-output ratio. In the case of employee, it is calculated as follows. In the case of employee, the employee productivity is calculated by the such formula. Standard time for doing actual work, standard time standard time for doing actual work divided by actual time taken. On the basis of this formula, we can determine the employee productivity. Employee turnover. Now we will discuss employee turnover. What is the meaning of employee turnover and how we will calculate employee turnover? Employee turnover. Employee turnover or labor turnover in an organization is a rate of change in the composition of employee force during a specific period, which is measured against a suitable index. Employee turnover, employee turnover or the labor turnover in an organization is a rate of change in the composition of employee force during the specific time period, which is measured against a suitable index. The standard of usual employee turnover in the industry or in the locality, or the employee turnover rate for the past period, may be taken as an index or norm against which actual turnover can be computed or actual turnover can be compared. There are three methods of computing employee turnover. There are three methods for calculating the employee turnover. First method is replacement method. Second method is separation method. And third method is flux method. There are three methods for calculating the employee turnover. Then the first method is replacement method. Second is separation method. And third is flux method. Replacement method. First, we will discuss replacement method. This method takes into consideration actual replacement of the employee. Under this method takes into consideration actual replacement of employee, irrespective of number of persons leaving the organization. Under this method, actual replacement of the employee is considered irrespective of number of persons leaving the organization. Employee turnover under this method is calculated as under. Is that under the replacement method, the employee turnover is calculated as under. Employee turnover is equal to number of employee replaced during the period, number of employee replaced during the period divided by average number of employee during the period on the roll. Is that employee turnover is equal to number of employee who are replaced during the period divided by average number of employee during the period or roll into 100. New employee who are appointed on the account of expansion plan of the organization are not included in the number of replacement. The new employees who are appointed on the account of expansion plan are not included in the number of replacement. And the second method is separation method. Separation method. In this method, employee turnover is measured. In this method, the employee turnover is measured by dividing the total number of employees who are separated during the period by the average number of total of the employee on the payroll during the same period. In this method, the employee turnover ratio or the employee turnover is determined by dividing the total number of employees who are separated during the period by average number of employee on the payroll during the same period. Is that the formula is number of employee who are separated during the period divided by average number of employees during the period on the roll into 100. On the basis of this formula, we can calculate employee turnover under the separation method. There is a next method is flux method. This method take both the number of replacement as well as number of separation during the period into account for the calculation of employee turnover. This method takes both the number of replacement as well as number of separation during the period into account for the calculation of employee turnover. Employee turnover under this method is calculated as follows. Employee turnover under this method is calculated as under number of employee who are separated, during the period plus number of employees who are replaced during the period divided by average number of employees during the period divided by average number of employees during the period on the payroll into 100. Is that number of employees who are separated plus number of employees who are replaced during the period divided by average number of the employee during the period on the roll into 100. Then on the basis of this formula, we can calculate the employee turnover. Employee turnover due to new recruitment. How we will calculate employee turnover when there is the new recruitment? Generally, the employee who are recruited on the account of expansion of the organization are not considered for the calculation of employee turnover, but it is considered for the newly recruited employee are also responsible for change in the composition or in the workforce. Due to this feature, some management accounts some management accountant feel to take new recruitment for the calculating employee turnover. Then the total number of workers joining, including replacement, is called accessions. When number of new joining or when the number of accessions are considered for measuring employee turnover, then the employee turnover rate by the flux method may be computed by using any of the following expressions. Number of separations plus number of replacement plus number of new joining divided by average number of the employee during the period on payroll into 100, or number of separation plus number of accession divided by average number of the employee during the period on roll into 100. Is that on the flux method we can calculate the employee turnover when the new joining will also be considered. Then these are the formulas. On the basis of this, we can calculate the number of employees. Average number of employees during the period are as follows. Average number of employees. How we will calculate average number of employees? Then the average number of employee is equal to number of employee at the beginning plus number of the employee at the end of the period divided by 2. Average number of employee is equal to number of employees at beginning plus number of the employee at the end of the period divided by 2. Equivalent employee turnover rate. What is the meaning of labor turnover rate or employee turnover rate? If in the above computation the data given is for a period other than a year, if in the above data or in the above computation or for the calculation of average number of employee, the given data is for a period which is other than a year, then the employee turnover ratio or the employee turnover rate is to be computed may be converted into equivalent annual employee turnover by using the following formula. Employee turnover rate for the period divided by number of days in the period into 365. Employee turnover rate for the period divided by number of days into the period into 365. Example. Now we will discuss it by the way of example. The management of PR Limited is worried about their increasing employee turnover in the factory, and before analyzing the cause and taking the remedial step, it want to have an idea of the profit forgone as a result of employee turnover in the last year. Last year sales amount is 83 lakh 3030 rupees and the PV ratio was 20%. The total number of actual hours worked by the direct employee force was 4.45 lakhs, 4,45,000. The actual direct employee hours included 30,000 hours attributable to the training new recruitment, out of which half of the hours were unproductive. Half of the hours were unproductive as the result of delay by the personnel department in filling vacancy due to the employee turnover. 1 lakh potentially production hours were lost. Then the cost incurred subsequent on employee turnover revealed an analysis. Then there is an analysis which is as follows. Settlement cost due to leaving is 43,820. Recruitment cost 26,740. Selection cost 12,750 and the training cost is 30,490. Assuming that the potential production lost as a consequence of employee turnover could have been sold at prevailing price. Find the amount of profit which is foregone last year on the account of employee turnover. Is that on the basis of the above details, we will find the amount of profit which is left or which is foregone last year on the account of employee turnover. First, we will calculate the production hours. Production hours is 4,45,000 total, less unprotected hours, which is the 50% of 30,000, is 15,000. Then the actual production hours is 4,30,000. And production hours lost. The production are lost. Loss of potential production hours 1 lakh and unproductive training hours 15,000. Then 1,15,000. Total productive hours which are lost is 1,15,000. Loss of contribution. Now we will discuss the loss of contribution due to the unproductive hours. Sale value divided by actual production hours. Sale value divided by actual production hours into total unproductive hours. Their total amount of sale is 83 lakhs 3,030 rupees divided by total production hours 4,30,000 into unprotective hours is 1,15,000. Then the loss of contribution due to unprotective hours is equal to 22 lakhs 20,650 rupees. Contribution lost for the 1,15,000 hours is 22 lakh 22 lakh 20,650 divided by 100 into 20. It is 4 lakh 44,130. Is that the contribution which is lost due to the unprotective hours is 4 lakh 44,130. 4 lakh 44,130. Computation of profit which is foregone on the account of employee turnover. Now we will discuss the computation of the profit which is foregone on the account of employee turnover. The amount of total profit or the amount of total contribution which is foregone as per the above calculation is 4,44,130. Add the amount of settlement cost due to leaving is 43,820 and the recruitment cost is 26,740 plus selection cost 12,750 and the training cost is 30,490. Then the amount of total profit foregone is 5,57,960. This is the total amount of profit foregone is 5,57,930. Then on the basis of this example, we have calculated the amount of contribution which is foregone and the amount of profit which is foregone due to the employee turnover. This is part 2 of the employee benefit, and in this video we have covered all these topics or all the important points of employee benefits. There is also another part of employee benefit, part 1. Kindly consider it also for the full understanding of such chapter. Thank you so much.